In the heart of Brooklyn, long before the world knew his name, a 10-year-old boy picked up a worn-out basketball, not for fame, but for freedom. The sound of the bouncing ball echoed through the cracked concrete of Bedford-Stuyvesant, a neighborhood where dreams often stopped before they began. That boy was Lenny Wilkens. He didn't grow up surrounded by luxury or opportunity. His father passed away when he was just 5 years old. His mother, a strong, determined woman, raised the family alone, holding them together through faith, discipline, and quiet strength. For young Lenny, the playground became more than a place to play. It was his escape, a small patch of asphalt where everything made sense, where his imagination could breathe, and where he learned the power of patience, teamwork, and self-belief. At Boys High School, Lenny wasn't the biggest or the fastest, but there was something different about him, a calmness, a poise. When others rushed the game, he slowed it down. When they looked for glory, he looked for the open man. Even as a teenager, you could tell he wasn't just playing basketball, he was understanding it. When Providence College gave him a chance, Lenny grabbed it like a man who knew chances didn't come twice. Standing 6 feet 1 inch, he wasn't supposed to dominate. But he did, not through power, but through precision. He became the heart of the Friars, leading them to success and earning national attention. Still, few believed he'd make it big in the NBA. Scouts saw him as undersized, quiet, too cerebral. But the St. Louis Hawks took a gamble, drafting him in 1960. And that gamble changed history. From his very first season, Lenny showed something rare, a blend of humility and control. He didn't need to score 40 to change a game. He read the floor like a chess master, saw plays before they unfolded, and made teammates better just by being there. Soon, he became an NBA All-Star, earning respect across the league. But Lenny was never satisfied. Deep down, he was a thinker, someone who saw basketball not just as sport, but as a language of leadership. And as his playing days continued, that calling grew louder. When most players feared the end, Lenny Wilkens found a new beginning. He became a player coach, one of the rarest and toughest roles in sports. Imagine being the one who both leads and follows, who calls the plays and runs them too. But Lenny did it with grace. He wasn't just a coach. He was a teacher, a listener, a man who believed that respect was earned through consistency and care. As the years passed, his true gift shined, not just in his skill, but in his ability to build something lasting. With the Seattle Supersonics, Lenny found the perfect home for his vision. The team wasn't filled with stars, but he turned them into believers. In 1979, under his guidance, the Sonics did what few thought possible. They became NBA champions. It wasn't just a title, it was validation. That calm leadership, quiet strength, and unselfish basketball could still conquer the world. He went on to become one of the most respected coaches in history. By the time he stepped away, he had accumulated over 1,300 career wins, a record at the time, and more importantly, the admiration of everyone who ever played under him. But Lenny's story isn't just about basketball. It's about how he lived the game and what he gave back to it. He mentored generations of players, from young rookies unsure of their place to veterans learning how to lead. He was never the loudest voice in the room. Yet, when he spoke, people listened, because they knew it came from experience and from heart. Even after the final buzzer of his career, Lenny Wilkens never stopped giving. He built community programs, youth foundations, and gave back to the city of Seattle. the place that had embraced him as one of its own. He stood for something bigger than wins or records. He stood for values. When the NBA announced its 75 greatest players list, Lenny's name was there, not just as a player, but also as one of the 15 greatest coaches in history. Few have ever done both. And in Seattle, a statue of Lenny Wilkens now stands tall, bronze and eternal, holding a basketball in one hand, calm and steady, just like he always was. For those who walk past, it's a reminder that greatness isn't always loud. Sometimes it speaks softly, through actions, through wisdom, through the lives it changes. When news broke that Lenny Wilkens passed away at age 88, the basketball world didn't just lose a legend. It lost a teacher, a role model, and a piece of its soul. Tributes poured in from everywhere. Players, coaches, fans, all remembering a man who made the game better, and made them better. Because for Lenny, success was never about personal glory. It was about doing things right, about showing that leadership means empathy, that discipline can coexist with kindness, and that even in a world driven by stats and highlight reels, there's still room for humility and grace. Lenny Wilkens' journey is the story of a boy who turned pain into purpose, who rose from the concrete courts of Brooklyn to the shining halls of basketball immortality, who showed that greatness isn't measured in points or trophies, but in how many hearts you lift along the way. So when you think of basketball's greatest, don't just look at the numbers. Look at the men who changed the culture, who built bridges instead of walls, who led not just with their hands, but with their hearts. Lenny Wilkens was one of those men, a true legend, not because he demanded respect, but because he earned it. If you believe in stories that go beyond stats, stories about character, resilience, and the human spirit, hit like, subscribe, and join us as we honor those who changed the game forever. Because legends never truly fade. They live on in every kid who picks up a basketball, chasing a dream that once began on a playground in Brooklyn.